Hello, and welcome to my financial independence journey. This is Justin, and I'm sorry to say that I'm having some technical difficulties with my camera, so you will not be able to see me today. Uh, but I would like to talk to you about the power of physical real estate and how it can help you along with your investing journey. So, there are lots of advantages with real estate and using it as a rental property, but I feel four of the more powerful ones are leverage appreciation, cash flow, mortgage paydown, and some of the tax advantages that it gives you. So I'm going to go through some examples to show how this can really help you in your investing journey. So first one, and probably the most powerful one, is leveraged appreciation. And this is something I did not understand at all when I first heard about real estate investing. So essentially it goes with the fact that because most people are buying real estate with loans, this gives you a natural lever on your investment as it appreciates over time. So the US average appreciation in real estate is estimated to be about 3 to 5% yearly. Now, I know that this is very local. Some markets will be much, much higher, some will be lower. But again, just to go through some numbers, uh, this is what we're going to use for averages. So if you put down 25%, that gives you an actual 4x lever, meaning that your expected rate of return is now between 12 and 20%, right? So you just take that 3 to 5, multiply it by 4, and that's how you get to 12 to 20%, which is huge. Um, so just to go through a quick example with you, let's say that we were trying to buy a $100,000 home, and you put 25% or 25K down of your own money to buy it, and then the home price increases by 4% next year, so now it's $104,000. So, but your personal return is much higher than 4% because yours is on the 25K that you put down. So 4,000 divided by 25,000 is 16%, which is massive. And this is something I did not understand at all. And I hope that this will help you understand because initially when I see 3 to 5% appreciation, I think, well, the stock market will give at least a 6 to 8%, and the last decade has been doing over 10%. So why would I even bother with physical real estate when it involves a lot of other moving components? But it's really this leverage part of it which makes it so powerful, and you just can't ignore. So moving on to our next advantage of real estate is cash flow. And this again, I find is pretty intuitive for most people to understand. And this is just the profit from the rents coming in after all expenses are paid for. And so I just want to talk about some of the expenses. So mortgage, so you're basically paying down the loan that you took out, and interest. Taxes, so you got to pay the government for that. Insurance, in case something happens to the property. Now, those three people mostly understand. The next three people tend to be like, why are you calculating these? So vacancy rate is just putting money aside for when uh, whenever the property is not rented. So essentially, times when tenants aren't in there paying the rent, you will have to be paying the mortgage completely on your own. So putting aside some money each month to pay for that is pretty important. It can be a nasty surprise if you don't have that factored in. Management fees are just paying property managers to manage the property for you. Again, most people, when they do this, tend to have pretty busy full-time jobs, and so managing a property as well as their full-time job can be pretty taxing, and so just having a management company do it for you, generally speaking, it's going to be somewhere around 10%. And then last is CapEx, or capital expenditures, and this is just putting money aside each month for larger repairs on the property. So if a water heater goes out, or if the roof needs to be redone, stuff like that, you have money set aside to pay for it. It's not just coming out of your own personal pocket, so it's just important to have some of these other things factored in. So let's go back to our $100,000 home that we bought with 25% down. I'm starting to say that we had a 3% closing cost because that's what it is in my area. And we're going to say that you're paying a 5% interest rate, which 5% may sound high in this market, but if you're not doing this as an owner occupied, 5% is actually not uncommon. So then let's just say that you can rent this place out for about $1,000 a month. Expenses monthly are going to be right around $888.53. So then your cash flow from that each month would be expected to be right around $111.47. And if you take that monthly cash flow converted into a yearly cash flow divided by 28K for your down payment and closing costs, that gives you a yield of about 4.8% or so. So basically, your money that you put down every year is going to return on average about 4.8%. So if we take that into account plus that appreciation from earlier, it's 16 plus about 4.8%. Now we're looking at over 20, almost 21% yield on our investment, which is pretty powerful. Moving on, the next thing that we want to talk about is mortgage paydown, and this is something that's oftentimes overlooked, but essentially, if you're doing this in a way that your renters are paying the mortgage for you, then they're paying the principal of the loan down, and over time, this is going to accelerate as more and more of that money goes more towards the loan balance and less towards interest. So going back again, looking at our $100,000, if we put 25% down, that means that our loan would start at 75K. And I'm just going to look at our first 5-year amortization schedule. So again, at the end of those 5 years, your 25K loan, you've paid down about $6,120.45, which is just money that you now have in the property that goes towards your equity stake in it. Another very interesting thing to think about is that if you own this property all the way 30 years, then that loan of 75K will be completely paid off. So that's a 4x on your investment of 25K over 30 years. So let's just say, your appreciation for whatever reason was 0%, and your basically rent ended up being zero monthly. You weren't making any money, but you weren't losing any money. If you just look at the amortization over the 30-year period, that's a 4x over 30 years. And that gives you a yearly rate of return or compound annual growth rate on a 25% down of about 4.7%. So even in the worst case scenario where you're not making money from appreciation or cash flow, just by mortgage paydown from your tenants paying rent, you will get a yearly return over that 30 years of 4.7% return, which is amazing. As just icing on the cake for no matter what, you're still making a good investment over time. So lastly, I want to talk about some of the tax advantages. There are 3 that I want to talk about. There are probably many, many more that I don't know or understand at all, but probably the biggest one that everybody kind of knows in real estate is a 1031 exchange, or it's called a like-for-like exchange. It's essentially when you go to sell a property, you can use that proceeds to buy the next property and essentially tell Uncle Sam, hey, I'm not going to pay taxes now, but I'll pay taxes later when I sell that property. And as long as you're moving from a similar type of property to a similar type of property, and that new property is worth more, then you're allowed to do this. And you're allowed to keep doing it and exchanging up and up and up for bigger, more expensive properties all along the way, not paying taxes until the very end. So this is a very powerful wealth building tool that allows you to just say, hey, Uncle Sam, I'm just gonna kick the bucket down the road and I'll pay you taxes later. Very, very powerful. So the next thing is property depreciation, and you can only depreciate the property, not the land value. And this will be different based on whether it's residential or commercial. So, residential, generally you do this over about 27.5 years, commercial about 39 years. However, there are tons and tons of different types of property appreciation. So I would highly recommend doing a CPA to go over this with you if you want any specifics. But essentially, you're just able to write down that some of this property's value has gone down over time just from wear and tear, generally just under 4% a year, and you get to write that off on your taxes, which is a nice little bonus, helps give you a little bit more cash flow generally. The last thing I want to talk about is a cash out refinance. And so essentially, the idea is you're owning a property over time. There's, with the combination of the property going up, appreciation, and the mortgage pay down, you'll have more equity in that property. But that money is sort of locked up inside the property, and you can't really do anything with it. But you can do a cash out refinance, so get a new loan on the property, and then you can take some of that money that was locked up out of it. And because that money is in the form of a loan, you don't pay any taxes on it. And so, some people will take that money and just blow it on nice vacation, toys or stuff for themselves. But, people who are trying to build their real estate empire will then take that money out and use it to buy new rental properties. And in fact, this is pretty common with people trying to expand their rental empire. Is essentially they're taking money out of new properties, buying new properties with that, and then they're able to continue to buy additional properties without paying for those new down payments out of pocket anymore. So this tends to just be a very powerful tool for continuing to invest in real estate without using any more of your own money for down payments. So yeah, that sort of goes over the general gist of why rental properties can be so powerful for you and you owning them physically instead of in something like a REIT. I would love to hear from you down below in the comments section. If any of these things were new to you, I know that when I first heard about rental property real estate, I did not understand the leverage appreciation or the tax advantages at all, but they can be very powerful. Again, if you liked the video, please click subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of all my future uploads, and do me a thumbs up, turn that thumbs up blue. It shows your support for the channel and will help it grow. Hope everybody has a great day. God bless, love you, bye.